Pregame.com.
Wow, talk about a rivalry game that's kind of lost its luster, guys. We've got Michigan at Ohio State. The Ohio State Buckeyes laying 3.5 in this one, total of 55. Could have got Ohio State plus a field goal back in the summertime. Now they are laying a little bit more than a field goal, but they actually opened up as high as 5. So they have come down a little bit over the past couple of days as we shoot this video. And Bryan, a quick question that I've asked a few guys on the radio show that we do, first preview. This undefeated Buckeye team, do you think that they're a top 10 team, on the cusp of the top 10, or on the outside? What would you feel if you had to rate this team right now?
They're on the cusp of the top 10. The offense is inconsistent. Defensive, sometimes they look really good. Other times they don't have a clue. It all depends on the type of team they play.
How many losses would you give this team if Braxton Miller's not behind center?
They probably go 7-5 on the year. I mean, he's so much of a difference maker for that team.
I absolutely agree. And we saw Ohio State, Marco, struggle early in the season against UAB, against California. What happened was Urban Meyer, after the first 2 games, I think it was, who said, we've got to keep him fresh. We've got to keep him healthy. We don't want Braxton Miller to run the ball 20, 25 times a game like he was. And he started running the ball a lot less, but it seemed to affect everything he did on offense. His passing numbers fell apart, and all of a sudden they're struggling with UAB and with California. I think he went back to him in the locker room and said, you know what, just do your thing, kid. Play on instinct, do what you do best. And since then, he's running the ball. You'll see him run the ball 20 times sometimes. His passing game has picked up. They've been a better offense. At the same time, I'm not crazy about this Ohio State Buckeye defense, which has left a lot to be desired a few times on this season, including a dink and dunk offense like Indiana, where they gave up 49 points.
Well, a lot of the times, too, they might have been looking past some of these teams to some of the bigger games, but the Nebraska game, they rolled up points against Nebraska. That was their most impressive game this year.
That was, again, turnover-driven, though. And Nebraska had 38 points despite a slew of mistakes.
Right. So Michigan coming in here, and we talked about the line dropping in it, and this is one of the games that I actually talked about on the Betting First Look this week. 76% of the public bets are on Ohio State, and they're the public team, they're undefeated and everything else, but yet the sharp money, so to speak, is coming in on the dog. Mm-hmm. And I've got to respect that. And this is a situation where Michigan has an advantage. A lot of teams, when they look at this Ohio State offense, you talk about it numerous times, you point out about Nebraska, how they have trouble when they face a mobile quarterback. Not everybody has those mobile quarterbacks, and it's different to prepare for. Michigan's got a built-in edge here. They see one of those, every day in practice until he got hurt in Leonard Robinson. So I think that gives them a big up on preparation for Ohio State. And we all know, and you being a guy from Ohio State, Michigan, the biggest rivalry in football. And there's been coaches at Ohio State that would win 9 and 10 games every season, go to a bowl game, but if they lost to Michigan, they lost their lost their job. It's so important. So Urban Meyer wants it, and in a season with probation, I mean, this, he becomes an instant god in Ohio if he hasn't already. Right. Bringing the program, back from, what happened with Tressel at the end. Me personally, I lean to Michigan in the game. I just think it's going to be one of those dog fights, and like you said last week with the Stanford-Oregon game, if there's snot flying around, you say it best. If it's one of those type of games,
I'm the down in the gutter guy.
Yeah, so
thanks a lot.
I'm going to take the points with Michigan.
This one's my free pick, guys. All right, I wasn't going to say it, but if there's snot flying around the football field, if the lips are bleeding, if the noses are bleeding, if the face masks are being ripped off, if the knuckles are kind of bare and bloody, then Michigan is making some noise in this football game. If it's pretty, if the uniforms are clean at halftime, then Michigan's probably on the bad side. But here's something that Michigan presents differently now than they did just a few short weeks ago. They got the kid Devin Gardner, who came in at quarterback the week after they had to replace Leonard Robinson in Lincoln, Nebraska. He comes on the next week and he gives them that same kind of running ability and escapability that Leonard Robinson did, but he throws the ball better and more accurately. And guess what? Yeah, Toussaint's, he's banged up and injured, but Leonard Robinson was on the field the same time as Devin Gardner, had 13 carries for almost 100 yards last week. This is no longer an easy prep when it comes to facing this Michigan offense. I agree with you. I think they catch the Buckeyes at the right time. We're going to go against all those public tickets. We're going to take the 3.5 points with the Michigan Wolverines. When we come back, off to Sunday with the Niners and the Saints. All that and more NFL coming up right here at pregame.tv.